We had a second base play up the middle, and Bull's going to guard the line. That's awful. Do you do all the games? No, just one? No. I've been doing. I started playing games earlier, so I did today.
Huh?
Another good one here, fellas. Last round.
Had a roast beef sandwich.
Roast beef?
Hello and welcome to At the Plate with the Oakland A's. I'm Lorelei Suarez, your host, and today we get to sit down with starting catcher Bruce Maxwell. Bruce, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy it.
Beautiful day in Oakland, huh?
Yes. If we could play day games here every day, I probably would.
How do you feel about the night games?
It's cold. I'm from the South, and, it's humid down there, so I love the nighttime. It's a little warmer, but I still haven't got used to the cold at night.
It's so funny how people from warmer climates seem to think it's cold. I'm sitting here drenched in sweat. I'm a San Francisco native. Anything above 72 degrees is too hot.
Yeah, over there, it's cold. It's definitely cold.
Where in the South did you grow up?
I'm from Alabama, so up north in Alabama. So in the wintertime, we got kind of the northern winters, but in the summer we got that humidity, that heat. So
growing up, how did you find your way into sports?
Honestly, I just came from an athletic family. My dad played 3 sports in high school where he's from. My sister played Division I basketball, actually, down in Alabama at Samford University. And so it was kind of like in our nature. My dad's very athletic. And, I played football growing up. I played basketball growing up. I played baseball, obviously. My sister played volleyball, soccer, and basketball. I mean, we've always been about athletics. So.
I grew up, I played 3 sports as well, but it seems that, in, the last decade or so, there's a deterrent. People want their athletes to focus on one sport at a very early age. But what do you feel the benefit was of having played multiple sports? Because I think there's a benefit to it.
There's definitely a benefit. I coach kids out in Arizona where I live. I coach baseball as well at a high school. And so, but I tell people, kids growing up, they need to dabble in every sport. I mean, but it teaches you different things. Mm-hmm. You learn about discipline in different ways in different sports. You learn about, just athletics in general. And whatever your main sport might be, you might be able to take something away from those other sports that you've played to help you and benefit you in that main sport that you focus on. So I've learned a lot, when it comes to football and basketball, about, how to handle myself on the baseball field. And, my sister learned the same thing through playing volleyball and playing other sports. And so I feel like it's a benefit to have them in multiple sports, but at some point in time you have to really ask them what they really want to do so they can buckle down as they get older.
I totally agree. Now, at what point did you start to hone in on baseball as your future?
Ever since I was a child. My dad's a big disciplinarian. I come from a military household, and so he always told us, he was like, I'm never going to make you play anything, but if you are fond of something and I see potential, then I'm going to sacrifice everything I have for you to be the best you can be. And so I've been playing baseball ever since I was 3 years old with kids older than me, and I've always excelled at it, but it didn't come without, the discipline, the focus, the extra work. I had plenty of days when I was around 8, 9 years old where I'd go to school, I'd have baseball practice, and then I'd come home, I'd do my homework, and then I'd have more baseball practice, and so that's how my dad was. It was either 110% or nothing. So. Now,
how do you think that helped you in the classroom, and how did you balance being a student athlete?
Honestly, being a student athlete up until, college, I was a straight A student. And that's what was demanded in my house, though. It's like, if we want to play sports, then we're going to have to work that much harder in school. And because at the end of the day, once you get older, if you don't do well in the classroom, you can't play on the field. And so my parents are big sticklers about the classroom. My sister was a very good student as well. Mm-hmm. And it was just about the principle. You can't play without working hard first. You play hard, you work hard, like everybody says, and it starts at a young age.
So true. Now, you just got called up to the majors. It's been a little less than a year, and you are grabbing most of the starts as catcher. What work have you applied since you got drafted that's helped you achieve your goals into actually making it up to the majors?
Honestly, I've worked harder than I ever have. And the discipline coming from my youth has helped me stick to the process and stick to the plan, because you find so many athletes that go off the kind of rails at a young age because they get all this money and they get all this publicity, and they just kind of go to the wayside. My discipline coming from my parents and the grind that I've had all my life has kept me on the straight and narrow and seeing the bigger picture. You know, I've been wanting to be in the big leagues ever since I was a child. So, and like I said, my parents, my coaches along the way have really instilled like a discipline and a work ethic for myself that I've excelled to perfect, and you know, it got me here, and it's going to keep me here. You know, as long as I keep everything in perspective and understand that, you know, my job is to lead this team, you know, every day on the field, then I think I'll be in a pretty good place.
So you're part of a pack of young Oakland athletics that are coming up together, and you guys have sort of been in the trenches to make it here together, and there's real excitement about the young talent that's taking over with the A's. How do you feel about your teammates and where you guys are going in the next 3 to 5 years?
It's amazing. I mean, and like you said, you hit it right on the head. Like these young group of guys, we've been together for at least 3 seasons, you know, in the minor leagues, and we're all rooted from, you know, the Oakland A's. And so it's a good feeling to have that. You know, I told these guys, like, you know, beginning of this year when I got called up for good about a month and a half ago, it's good to look around the locker room and see guys you've been pretty much having this minor league grind with, you know, over the years, being up here in the big leagues. I mean, it makes everything a little easier to adapt to. It makes the jump to the big leagues a lot easier because the guys by your side are the guys that have always been by your side. You know, and this youth movement that we have, I'm actually the oldest of the youth movement that we have,
Really?
which is funny. You know, I've always been with these guys. Like, I've always been their catcher, like, and being able to grind through it, but then to succeed and to fail with these guys next to, with all of us next to each other, it makes it a little easier to be comfortable up here. And so the next 3 to 5 years, honestly, everybody gets their feet wet, everybody develops into the player they're going to be, and we're gonna lead a winning organization, you know, and it's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun field, and I look forward to it every day.
Well, it's always a fun day here watching an A's game, and with the new ownership in November, the direction of the team is really to get back to that winning legacy of teams past. And you mentioned something about being rooted. How have you felt the Oakland community has embraced you? Have you enjoyed being a player in this community?
Oh, yes. I mean, I love it. You know, I try to do as much community service as I can in this organization. I mean, it's big. You know, it is big. You know, you have the Raiders here. You know, the Warriors are here and everything. And I feel like this community is big in the tradition of the Oakland A's. And so for us to engage that and to really put that as a priority being up here, especially as new as we are, you know, I feel like that's something that needs to be a little enhanced when it comes to our daily things. You know, I reach out, I try to be a part of this community as much as I can, and you know, I know I'm not from here, but you know, this is where my job is, and not to mention, you know, these fans here are amazing, and so it always starts from the youth, though. You know, these kids, I've never thought in my life that I would walk into a stadium and I have kids wearing my jersey, you know, and that's all here.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's a dream come true for you, right?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. You got little kids that want to sign you. You're a superhero to these kids. But you can't be a superhero just in uniform. You know, you have to step outside of your comfort zone, and you have to step out of the quote-unquote office we have here, and to reach out to these kids and to reach out to these people in the community to make sure that they know that just because you're a baseball player doesn't mean you're not a person. You know, and I take that very serious. You know, I sign autographs all the time. I try to be out and outreach as much as I can, because at the end of the day, we're just not the name and the number on the back of our jersey. You know, we actually care about, you know, this community, and we care about these kids that are coming up and that are looking at us as we are invincible. I mean, and so that's a big approach that I've always had, and I also just love children in general. So
You're such a quality guy. I can't right now. Like, are you single? I know a lot of young girls who would love to meet you. Anyways, well, so, you know, it sounds like you have a future in coaching or leading one day. It sounds like you're obviously a leader. Now, if you had something to share, pieces of advice for these young men and women of the Oakland community, young athletes aspiring to something greater, what would it be?
Never lose sight of your goal. You know, I've had plenty of friends that have went to college and that play professional sports, and I know at some point in time we all lose kind of sight of what we're working for, and it comes down to sacrifice. You know, my parents have always told me, if you want something bad enough, you'll sacrifice the now for the later, and that's something I've lived by. That's something I've really honed into as I got older, because I know my dad didn't learn that till he was an adult. You know, and so he instilled that with me and my sister at a young age, and I've sacrificed to be here. You know, I've sacrificed friendships, I've sacrificed relationships, I've sacrificed family, you know, time to get where I am. But to get where I am and where I'm at right now, it's going to open doors down the road to what I truly want to do. and that's to share a positive influence among the youth, you know, not only in Oakland but in this world we live in athleticism, and you know, and to be able to give back. It opens so many doors to be a speaker, to be a coach, to be a positive influence as much as you can. And I feel like this platform has really has set me up for that. And I continue to tell my kids to work hard, to make sure you're sacrificing what you're doing, because, you know, the parties can wait, the movies can wait, the relationships can wait. Because if you really want something bad enough, you know, you're going to sacrifice for it. It's going to be hard. It's definitely hard getting here. Definitely getting hard. You know, sometimes you're lonely, sometimes you miss your family, like whatever. But when you get there, you can't ever say that somebody gave it to you. You know, because you've literally, you know, busted your butt the whole time to get where you're going, and now those things can take the time to be present in your life.
There's definite satisfaction from having earned what you have.
Yes.
I will say that. Well, you know, with the Warriors leaving and the Raiders leaving soon, and you know, the A's being the only major team in town, I mean, the role of the A's in the community is even more important in upcoming years. So it's just so heartwarming to know that the young squad that's coming up and representing the community is so positive, and so you're such a role model. I mean, and you embrace that role. So thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy it.
Until next time, this has been Lorelai Suarez with At the Plate with the Oakland A's. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, stop messing around. Go, try to do your work here. Baby Chris. Thank you, Chip.
Bruce Davis like, how are you about to stay? Why were you about to take another swing?
Baby, for real?
I know. I forgot. Are you surprised?
Hey. Me and A. Jackson. First. Tyler and Isaac,
Yeah, they're playing the Giants. I always try to catch a game against the Giants.
I seem to only run into them against each other. I was out there last night to see Shuriken Noisy that we just traded for from Washington. You were there?
Yeah. The first at bat he grounded out, and then the next one I think he's in double. Actually, I left like 6.
Yeah, I think that's better. I got cut up in the second.
I was sitting in the press box with Dave Rudy. I was sitting up there and I was just like 56-year-old. I was like, all right, I got an hour drive back. I'll see you guys there. I'll catch you guys when you guys come to the desk again. Yeah, no problem, man. No problem.